ערב טוב לכל מי שכאן, מי שלא מכיר, אנחנו ודים וספיר, מנהלי ומייסדי קהילת האמזונים. כחלק מהפעילות שלנו אנחנו מזמינים אנשים שהם מומחים בתחומם להתארח אצלנו. הפעם הזמנו את לירן, שאני מאמינה שרובכם, אם לא כולכם מכירים, אנחנו שמענו עליו בכל כך הרבה מקומות, ואנחנו מאוד שמחים ומודים לו שהוא הגיע ככה בפינה מזמנו לבוא, להתארח ולדבר איתנו על נושאים ממש ממש מעניינים וחמים ומשתנים ודינמיים, וכל סוחר באמזון צריך להכיר. לירן, ערב שלך, בהצלחה לכולם.
בהצלחה, תודה שבאתם, ולירן, blow our mind, please.
Okay, let's go. So thank you very much for having me. You know, typically, so for those that don't know, אני גם מדבר עברית, אבל האנגלית שלי יותר טובה, but when a group from Israel invites me to speak, I never say no. Thank you. So I'm going to talk about a variety of topics, just a little bit about my background. I started selling on Amazon in 2014, started a couple of private label brands, have sold many seven-figure dollars in private label. And also today I run an agency where we help sellers with their advertising, listings, creative images, pretty much everything on Amazon, DSP as well, like everything on Amazon. I'm also an advisor to a company, actually an Israeli startup that is lending money to sellers and offering growth capital as well, and like to stay up to date on everything that's happening in the world of Amazon. So I'll share my screen. What I'm going to talk about today will be kind of a variety of topics. We'll be jumping in between some PPC as well as generating reviews and some things that have kind of changed or have recently happened on Amazon. And if you have any questions, feel free to write something in the chat, and you can let me know. I'm probably going to be, I may not see it, I'm going to be sharing my screen, but you can feel free to interrupt me and ask questions, and we can also have time at the end. I don't know exactly how long this presentation is, but we could take time for questions also. I can stay kind of like as long as needed. So I will share my screen. Okay, so we're going to be talking about marketing and selling more products on Amazon. Basically, to break it down, Incrementum Digital is the name of my agency. So what I'm going to be talking about today is going to be kind of like first starting out on the current state of Amazon advertising, some things that have been changing this year. I'm going to talk further about structuring your campaigns, some new things that are around on sponsored display, generating reviews, as well as like other topics like Amazon posts, getting followers, what the benefits of that are, and just generally just ways that you can grow your sales on the Amazon platform. So the first thing I want to talk about is something that's happening now. Actually, this is very timely and interesting. This is I put this out on Facebook on May 26th. And we started seeing within our clients, so this is data that we have across all of our clients. We have about 200 stores that we manage ads for. It's a total of close to like 100 million in sales a month. So it's a lot of data. And one of the things I started noticing is that like the cost per click for running ads on Amazon is going up. And so I wanted to see like, okay, what does this actually look like in terms of what's happened since the beginning of the year? So we pulled our data and you can see like the average ACoS for one of our clients in January was 20%, 21%, and the average cost per click was 74%. And every single month, pretty much since then, it's increased. So 23%, 81 cents, to 24, to 28% ACoS, to 30% ACoS, and $1.08 cost per click. I wanted to understand this a little bit further. So we also broke it down by specific ad type, sponsored products, sponsored brands video, sponsored brands headline ads, and sponsored display. And you can actually see that in some months, sponsored brand video, which is a very popular ad type that everybody should be running, is actually some months is actually higher than sponsored products. Also, another interesting thing to see is, pretty much every category has increased, but one of the opportunities that is also at a lower cost per click that if you are not running is sponsored display, which Amazon is kind of putting more focus and attention on. And you can see in January it was 40 cents, now it's 70 cents. So it's also increased a lot, but it's still lower than everything else. So it also presents an opportunity here to drive sales at a lower cost. So actually, this article came out just yesterday. I'm wondering if it was related to my post or not. But this kind of like thought leadership website that puts a lot of content on e-commerce and Amazon put out this article out yesterday. You can find it on marketplacepulse.com. And they put out pretty much very, very similar data to what I put out, except they went all the way back to January, and they're kind of showing the exact same thing, the rise of, cost per click from January this year to May into June of just like this increased cost of Amazon advertising. So, this is a problem, for sellers. So first, I want to understand a little bit of like, why is the cost per click rising? So there's a lot of reasons, but I would say like the things you see here, COVID-19 basically caused a lot of brands that were typically selling through stores to put more focus and attention on online and on Amazon. There's been a lot of new sellers, a lot of new sellers joining or wanting to sell on Amazon because of this sort of new e-commerce opportunity that opened up with COVID. Aggregators, right? These companies that are buying up, Amazon businesses, they can also afford to spend more money and lose money sort of longer on PPC for some time while they ramp up sales. So basically, like there's kind of like bigger institutional money, more bigger money in the space than previously. And then together with that, there's also overall just like more things on the page other than just ads. We're seeing editorial recommendations. We're just seeing more things on the pages, which means less organic visibility and more ad placements, video ads, editorial recommendations, all these things that are basically causing people that in the past maybe didn't advertise or didn't have to advertise because they had a good organic visibility. Now they're forced to start to advertise. And pretty much this is the same thing that happened in Google and Facebook. As those like ad platforms, matured and grew, the cost per click has increased over time. So there are a variety of things. So the question is really like, what can we do about this increased cost and cost per click? And I'm going to talk more in detail about these things. But basically, one, I think eventually prices will need to rise on Amazon. So, I think sellers will have to raise their prices in order to kind of keep up with the increased cost of advertising. Eventually, I think prices will need to go up. But we also need to become a lot better at managing advertising and managing the performance, as well as like managing your organic visibility. So some of the things that we do are monitoring the budgets that you have on different campaigns. And we're shifting money from, always to the best performing campaign. So if I have a product and I'm running, an auto campaign and a manual campaign and a ASIN targeting campaign and a sponsored brand campaign and a video campaign and sponsored display, we're always consistently moving the money to the best performing campaign so that we can get like the maximum performance. We're also actively managing the keywords and the bids. So either using some kind of automation with software to manage your bids or doing it manually, but really important to look at your performance and bring your bids up or down based on your target ACoS and what you're trying to do. It's really, really important. Also really important to look at your search term report and find potential negative keywords, pause keywords that have spent that have had, many clicks without sales. Maybe it's 10 for your product or 20, depending on your cost per click, but just looking at these things is really, really important. One of the things we do is harvesting performing search terms in ASIN. So looking at the auto campaign, looking at broad match, looking at phrase match, and making sure that we are pulling out the underlying search terms that are converting, and then we're adding those as keywords back into the campaigns. Testing all ad types, as well as implementing new ad types as soon as they come out. So the people that implemented sponsored brand ads, sponsored brand video ads, when they first came out, had a big advantage because the cost per click was very, very cheap when it was less competitive. The same thing is happening now with sponsored display. Cost per click is the cheapest of any ad type because it's the newest ad type, and eventually that will go up too, right? So anytime Amazon introduces a new advertising type, I would jump on it as soon as possible and test it. And there shouldn't really be, getting brand registry is easier today. It's also part of the reason why more people are advertising with sponsored brands and sponsored display, and why that cost per click has gone up. So getting brand registry is very easy if you don't have it. And testing out the new options in sponsored display should also be something that you do. And we could talk more about it if there's questions, but there's a lot of different targeting that you could do in sponsored display around audiences, around specific ASINs, around categories. Really testing that out, and we'll talk more about segmenting out those tests, as well as finding long tail keywords. So going kind of deeper into keyword research, and finding long tail keywords that can produce a better cost per click, as well as maximizing impressions with proper campaign structure. I believe I have a slide that talks more about this proper campaign structure. If not, we'll talk more about this in terms of how we structure campaigns. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the campaign structure and maximizing visibility. The first thing I want to show you, actually, I'm going to X out of my screen, is the first. Everything kind of starts with keyword research and finding, all the potential keywords that you could be targeting around your ads. And then the next part of it is really making sure you are seeing impressions and getting the maximum visibility for those keywords. So I'll just share with you, if I can, let's see here. I'll do keyword research. We go into Helium Cerebro, and we're taking the top 10 ASINs in a particular top 10 competitor ASINs, and we bring it into Google Sheets, and then we develop this macro that kind of creates this. But some of the things that we are looking at when we are sorting, doing research, in this case, it's like glucosamine for dogs here as an example. What we're doing when we're doing this research is identifying the top competitors that are selling the most. And then we sort them based on a few things and trying to identify the most relevant keywords. So we're looking at search volume, okay, of the keywords. But along with that, we're looking at this item we created here called relevancy. And what this relevancy tells us is how many of these 10 competitors are ranking on the first page for this particular keyword. And if it's 10, if it's all 10, we know that this keyword is very, very, very relevant to my product. If it's a 6, that means some of the competitors are ranking, but not all. 6 out of 10 are ranking. So this helps us identify what are the most targeted keywords. Anything typically that is like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 is usually pretty relevant. If you go below that, you really need to look and evaluate the keywords. You'll see already that, some of the keywords are less targeted like supplements for dogs, right? It's much more broad, only 5 are ranking. It's not as targeted a keyword as the other ones. So what we do is we look at this sort of combination of relevancy as well as understanding the search volume. And based on this is also how we structure our campaigns. So for example, I know that this keyword is going to have a lot of potential impressions, right? Significantly more than any keyword here, dog, hip, and joint care, that has like less than 1,000 searches a month. If I put these two, let's say I have $100 a day budget. If I put a bunch of these keywords like here that have like 1,000 searches a day, a month, with this keyword that has 40,000 searches a month, if I put that in the same campaign, what will happen is this keyword, especially if my budget is not very, very big, what will happen is this keyword will take up the majority of the budget, the majority of the spend, and will not allow the other keywords in the campaign to really get impressions. So the structuring of how we set up our campaigns when we start is really, really important to maximize the visibility, especially because this is also going to be a very competitive keyword. It's very possible, and the cost per click is going to be significantly higher. It's very possible that I will do better and can get more sales by targeting all these other kind of keywords that are not as competitive, that are more, you know, long tail type keywords that maybe my competition isn't targeting as much or with as much of a high cost per click, right? Like a keyword like glucosamine, chondroitin for dogs, chewable, right? It's got a lot less searches, but it's likely going to be less competitive. So I want to make sure that these keywords get as much visibility as possible, but I also want to get visibility for these keywords. So the segmentation of the campaigns is really important. And what we typically do is we would probably put this keyword in its own campaign alone. Okay, so we would take like this keyword, we might put it in its own campaign, maybe with a different ad group for exact phrase and broad, or we might even separate out different campaigns for exact phrase and broad. We really want to segment this. We might then take the next, like maybe the next 10 keywords and put them in a separate campaign, right? And then we take another group of the next, you know, 30, 40 keywords, put them in the next campaign. And when you have keywords that have less search volume, you can put more. But we like to segment out the keywords. We don't put all, you know, if we do keyword research and from this list, we end up finding, you know, 300 keywords, we don't put all those keywords in one campaign. And we also like to segment out by the match type. So typically we will have a different ad group for each match type, but we're also segmenting out the high volume keywords. What we do from there is we kind of see what's happening in the campaigns, and we continue to segment as we get data. So for example, I think I have an example here. This is a supplements campaign that I recently launched, like in May. Okay, the ROAS is not so great. Supplements are very competitive. The cost per click is high, so like it's kind of okay. It's like a 60% ACoS or so. But the point is that this particular product, this is a low impressions campaign. So what I did with this campaign is a new campaign that was created where I moved all the keywords that were not getting any spend at all. In the previous campaign, there was like 0 spend across the keywords that I put into this campaign. And now putting them in this campaign, suddenly they're getting spent. So, and now I can start to really optimize and manage my bids. And, you know, you can see that the ROAS, you know, was kind of high here, and it's starting to kind of stabilize, right? So I can start to improve the results. But also more so than what the ROAS is, it's an example of pulling out keywords that were previously not getting any visibility at all because they were in a campaign that just had too many keywords, moving them into their own campaign and segmenting them out. what we do further is if I go back here and we have this campaign that has, 20 keywords. And again, I'm seeing that after 2-3 weeks, this like one keyword is taking up a lot of the budget. It's performing really well. Again, I will move it to its own segment because I really want to dial the bids and the results of this one keyword on its own, especially if you're using software, because if you're using software to optimize your bids, to me, it becomes even, and I do use software, it becomes even more important because when I'm using software, the software tries to take all the keywords in a campaign and get to an average target ACoS to get to like, 40%, let's say, or 30%, whatever my goal is, right? And it's working across an average of all the keywords. And if I isolate that keyword into its own campaign, I know the software is only working to optimize that one keyword to this target ACoS that I want to reach. So we did something similar on another product where, I initially started out with like the top 5 keywords that were getting the most volume in their own campaign. And then started to continue to segment. And you can see this is actually a portfolio. This is just one product. We took over managing this in September 27th, like here is kind of where I started campaigns. And you can see that over the course of the month, because I kept segmenting, because I kept moving out keywords that weren't getting impressions into their own campaign, because and doing this also on sponsored brands and sponsored video, and continuing to segment, I've been able basically to increase the spend, right? Continuously increase the spend, but my ROAS is kind of maintained. My ROAS has not gotten worse as I've continued to grow the spend and generate more sales for this product. And it's because of this segmentation that I've been able to do that, because now if I had a $200 a day budget or $300 a day budget on these 5 keywords, now I move each one to its own campaign and I can see what's the maximum I can spend for each keyword on its own at the target ACoS that I want to achieve. So we've achieved 30% target ACoS here. And again, this is supplement also. So it's very, very, very competitive. And by isolating, we've been able to increase spend. So everything really starts with proper keyword research, segmenting high volume, mid volume, other keywords, segmenting match types, segmenting ASINs as well as finding keywords that aren't getting impressions, moving them into their own campaigns, and sort of continuously try to maximize visibility and impressions. Okay. I want to go into some of the way we do ASIN research and give you guys a couple of tips on how you could do ASIN research. First, I'll just kind of show you like a cool tool that if you want to do competitor ASIN research manually, there's this Chrome extension that's free. It's called Pick ASIN. So I just learned about this extension. So if I'm on Amazon and I do a search for barbecue gloves, and I'm going to try to enable this. Okay. And refresh. What will happen is this will come up on the bottom. And now it gives me this little tool. And if I just click on it here, the ASIN will get saved here, and then I can export a list. So I can go through here and say, okay, this competitor I want to target. I want to target this competitor. And then I can bring, I can bring the ASINs in here with this tool. One of the other things, if you're using it and you want to go to the second page, you have to open up a new tab, and then you'll be able to add it under the new tab. But basically, you just choose here. You can export your list. If you want to do this like ASIN research manually, one of the ways I do ASIN research is I use Helium 10 black box. I will put either my ASIN or one of the top ASINs into black box under competitors, and then I will pull a list of the competitors that are found, and then I will sort that in Excel. So as an example, I think I have an Excel sheet here. Actually, this is one I was looking at yesterday. That was around a beetroot supplement, and again, because I want to make sure that I'm finding, in this case, very, very targeted competitors to target. This could be both for sponsored product ASIN targeting or sponsored display. I actually had some filters that I'm using to make sure that I had very targeted results. So for example, I saw some competitors that had like apple cider gummies. It wasn't really like competitors. This product is a capsule. So I wanted to find very targeted list. And then through here, I'm able to find that list. And then again, what I do is I will sort by revenue. And then I will try to do the same thing when I do to keywords is I might target the first, 5 alone, then the next, 20, and then kind of the rest in separate campaigns for ASIN targeting and for sponsored display. And again, then I will look and see, am I getting impressions? If I'm not, I'll move things to their own campaign, or I might have to raise bids first. And again, when I look at the high volume ones, I might continue to segment these out into their own campaigns. So that's just a tool you can use. It's a free Chrome extension, or you can use this in Helium. One of the new things that's also in the sponsored display campaign is audience targeting. If you haven't played with that, it's worth playing with. It's a little bit different than product targeting because you are targeting audiences, like people that might be interested in this particular category or somebody that just had a baby. It's not as targeted, but it's worth testing and playing around with, seeing if you can drive traffic and generate sales from this new audience targeting that is within your sponsored display campaigns. You should also be looking at your search term reports to be able to target categories and also target them in their own campaigns for ASIN targeting. And when you pull your search terms, you will find ASINs that are converting that you can, again, add back into your campaigns. I want to skip a little bit to another topic, which is something we've started to do recently as well. So if you have brand registry on Amazon, Amazon gives you the opportunity to do split testing within the Amazon platform. So this is available if you have brand registry under your brand dashboard. It's something that's called Manage Experiments. The Manage Experiments feature allows you to test either title, main image, or A+. Now, there's a difference between doing A/B testing through Amazon and doing A/B testing on your own. You could do it on your own also, right? You can take your title, you can change it, and then you can look at your results, your sessions, your conversions, your sales. You can look at the results after a week and evaluate. The reason that I like doing it through Amazon is because what Amazon will do is Amazon will actually split the audience, like in real time. They will show 50% of the people. So this is we did this for a client of ours, and we did a title test, version A and version B, and Amazon actually will show half the people version A of the title, half the people version B, and then we know if we really should change the title or not permanently. And actually, once we do this, we will continue to test. So in this case, you can see we've had significantly more sales on the product so far, and the test is kind of still ongoing, but significantly more sales with this better version of the title. And now once we get this, and we have a lot of like impressions and sort of visibility here. Now once we figure out, we'll let this run through, we'll be sure that version B is better. We'll change the title, and then we'll do another test with a different title. Again, we're trying to continuously get better, as well as like testing the main image, as well as testing A+ content. But to me, like the easiest thing to test is your title, because you don't need any graphic design or anything, right? You could just do some keyword research, see how maybe you can change the title. Think about how your title might look on mobile, where a lot of the end of it is going to be cut off. So having the important things up front. Also for title, I really recommend having your most important keywords in a phrase match order. So together, your most important keywords should be together in the title. If you can, it makes a difference. So definitely, if you haven't tested this A/B testing, again, title is the easiest one to do. it's worth doing within manage experiments. I want to jump also to some things that are happening in the world of storefronts. So in the world of storefronts, we have the ability, people have the ability to follow you. One thing we've done is we have actually changed our header to add this messaging here. I just highlighted it here, and basically put follow us for more discounts, deals, and announcements. Now, not everybody's been able to get this approved, so you might have to play around with the words. Amazon doesn't really like call to action in the banner. But one thing we've been able, we were able to get this approved, and you might need to say just like follow us for new product details, or you know, you have to play around with the language. But the reason we're doing this, and we added this, is because soon you'll be able to actually send new product launches notifications to people who follow your store. And there's multiple ways to get followers or follow your brand. There's multiple ways to get followers. One of them is people going to your storefront and hitting this button. And the other way is through Amazon posts. Amazon posts is free. It's like a social media version of Amazon. Amazon has also been displaying it mostly on mobile at the bottom of listings. But recently, I'll just jump to this. Recently, I've seen them testing it on desktop also. Right, and it kind of looks like this, and they call it related inspiration, and it's basically almost like lifestyle images that you're putting. Usually it has a caption, something you're putting very similar to what you might put on, you know, Instagram, and you have the ability, people have the ability to click on it, then they can go to your listing from there, as well as following your brand, and then they might see on their Amazon homepage, or they might see like your future posts and other content that you put out. And soon also, this is already live in Vendor Central. It's not yet live in Seller Central, but soon Amazon has already sort of announced this, and I've seen it in Vendor Central. You'll have the opportunity when you launch a new product to send it out to followers. It's very, very limited to what Amazon allows you to do. You can't even like put a subject or put any words or anything. You're literally like selecting the product and sitting click, and Amazon will send them a message, you know. So you can't just like offer promotions or write whatever you want, or you know, like Amazon gives, you know, doesn't give you a lot of control. But I believe that more will come. I also believe that that eventually these posts will be videos, and you'll be able to do other content. And some of the things we're doing, so we're working on this brand, and some of the things that we are doing is we're trying to make the content not just like, you know, this is pet supplements, but not just showing, you know, kind of like somewhat boring, like type of just like images like this. This is a little bit more kind of boring to me. It's like an image of the product with some benefits, but we're also trying to test out like some of these things, like, did you know, like the fastest dog is a greyhound, right? Which can reach up to 45 miles. Did you know, like dogs have 18 muscles to control their ears? Like, we're trying to put some content that potentially is engaging, that maybe somebody who has a pet might want to follow. So think about this content like social media. Don't think about it too much like selling products. Think about how you can get engagement, how you can get people to follow the brand, not just like selling, because people don't want to really follow that. Another interesting thing that has been happening in the space, you may be familiar with transparency. Transparency really was initially built for avoiding counterfeiters. So you put a unique serial number sticker with a QR code on every one of your products, and anybody that sends inventory to Amazon or wants to sell on your listing has to get this, codes from the brand. Otherwise, they can't sell the product, and kind of preventing some, counterfeits or sellers jumping on your listing that don't have your product. Amazon has, I believe, not really had a lot of people adopting it because it's not so easy to implement. You have to have a unique sticker or print something unique on every single product. So it's not just like the same label on every product. It's like a unique thing. So, and also Amazon charges, I think, like 5 cents per label or per code. But now Amazon is adding some interesting things that I think make this more interesting to look at or consider. They just sent this email out within the last month. But what they're doing now is they're allowing you to actually, on this like QR code, you'll be able to have your brand story, provide like instructions, educational videos, images. You'll be able to offer promotions or cross-sell your product, sell additional products, encourage repeat purchasers, encouraging people to share your content on social media, as well as asking for reviews. They'll be able to submit a review for your product through it. So I think this is getting really interesting. We have not implemented this yet, but I believe you'll start to maybe see more brands interested in this and looking at this on all the potential this has. Is basically like a QR code that's going to be on a sticker or on your packaging that will allow all this. Again, it needs to be a unique QR code for each one, because this is really to also prevent counterfeit, but I think is a good opportunity. In the area of getting reviews, I want to share a couple things. One tool that we use is this website called getreviews.ai. There are multiple ways to do this. You can use this. You could do this through ManyChat flows. This is one tool that we use. What this tool allows you to do essentially is create a QR code, create kind of like an insert. And then create like a landing page where people who get the insert can go to the landing page, and they can, you can set it so that they have an incentive to either get a free product from you, get a discount on a future product, or get a gift card. And then once you get all their information, you get their email, you can also ask them for a review on the landing page, and you can also email them and follow up with them for review. As well as you have their email for future launches, etc. It's been working well. Again, you don't need to use this platform. You could do this with ManyChat or text messaging platform. And another text platform that's good is called simpletexting.com that you could use to help generate more reviews. And then a new initiative that we're doing is we are working with influencers to drive more reviews. So this is something we just put together. These are kind of like 4 different sites where you can find influencers to work with that are either free or very low cost. They're not like, the goal here is not to work with people that have 200,000, 500,000, 1 million followers. The goal here is to help drive some additional visibility on social media, get some content. That content you can then put on your posts, you can put within your marketing, but also to potentially drive some reviews. The one we're starting to work with now is Collaborate. We also have done some stuff with Thompson, and basically using this to get influencers. And when we work with the influencer, we usually will have them buy the product. We will rebate them and see if they're also willing to leave a review. A lot of times they'll leave a photo or a video. We'll also ask them for that content that we could use as well. But one of the things that we are working on is actually I have it here, is the ability to then, if this influencer sort of does well and they work well with you, they're responsive, is the ability for them to help you get more influencers or like sub-influencers, and we're incentivizing them to do it. So one of the things we just built out is this influencer SOP. I'll just kind of walk you through some of what we're doing. But basically, we're creating campaigns on these platforms. We're messaging the influencers and asking their email address. So we take the conversation sort of off the channel to see if they're willing to take it off the channel. Once we get their email, we send them an email and say, thanks for joining our campaign. We use search, find, buy. So this is also beneficial for ranking purposes. So we also ask them to click on other products, so the behavior looks really natural. Add the product to cart, purchase the product, copy the order ID, the email to us, we rebate them. We'll then ask them to make a post on social media, ask for a review on Amazon, and then we also ask them to get the rights to this. We put all the data on a Google Sheet. If this works very well with them, we will invite them to join our sub-influencer program, where we're basically give them a video on how it works when we're incentivizing them to get us additional influencers. So we give them a $10 commission per additional influencer that we get that will buy the product and leave a review. What we do is we create a ManyChat flow that we give that other influencer, their influencers, to walk them through, buying the product, rebating them, and kind of using this method to drive some more reviews. And again, if the plan with sort of starting this is if we do find some influencers that are really good, we'll want to work with them maybe on a paid basis or on a longer term basis to really also promote the brand. So that's all I have. You can some of the things I'm involved in. I have a Facebook group called E-commerce Mindset Group. I also have a podcast called E-commerce Mindset. My agency is Incrementum Digital. And I also help sellers with getting growth capital funds for growing for inventory and for their e-commerce business. And that's it. If we have any questions, I'm happy to jump into it.
היי, ערב טוב. היי לירן. תודה רבה על באמת הרצאה ממש מעניינת. רציתי לשאול בנוגע זה בסדר בעברית?
כן, בסדר, כן.
אוקיי, רציתי לשאול בנוגע פשוט ממקום קרוב גם שאני פועל, מהקטע שלה, לבקש את הביקורות מהלקוחות. בזמן האחרון אנחנו נתקלים בהרבה מאוד לקוחות שממש מפחדים מאמזון בעניין הביקורות. אנחנו מקבלים הרבה מאוד נו מהלקוחות, מהמשפיענים שאנחנו מבקשים מהם, שכאילו אנחנו פונים אליהם די ברכות, לשאול אותם לגבי הביקורות, זה משהו שבחודשים האחרונים ממש נהיה קשה. רציתי לדעת איך מהצד שלכם, איך הדבר הזה עובד לכם?
So the question is, שאתה אומר לקוחות, you mean from the Amazon customer or from your client who's a seller, or?
No, for the Amazon customers that will leave a review for you at the end of the...
Yeah, so I mean, for getting reviews, I mean, we use a combination of the inserts, which I think is okay. What we do is we don't force the review. We basically, if we're giving a free product or some incentive, we give it to everybody. And then only after they get it do we ask them for a review. And then we also use Helium 10 to automate the request review button. So in follow-up, there's something called automation, and you can automate that. And we are seeing pretty good review rates from that. This thing with the influencers is a little bit different because you're working directly with the person, and I think you can do it as long as you're not doing a lot and doing it at a very high percentage of your total orders. I think if you're staying under 10% of your total orders review rate, I think you're okay. So that's what we do. But we only ask customers through the request review button. We don't send messages. We don't use. You can.
No, of course, no. Yeah. Not in the Amazon platform. Only by mails or something like that. This is what we do also. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. And I mean, I probably wouldn't also be too aggressive, just asking for it. But the request review automation works pretty well in general, I would say.
כן, אני דווקא חשבתי שאתה הולך לשאול משהו לגבי המניצ'ט שאנחנו בזמן האחרון חווים בעיות מבחינת ביקוש ריוויו, המניצ'ט והמסנג'ר חוסמים את כל הדברים האלה של פרי פרודוקט
כן, זה רק הייתה השאלה הראשונה.
ריוויוז, חשבתי שזה מה שאתה הולך לשאול, אבל כן, יש איזה...
לא, אני אתחיל בלייט, ואז אני אמשיך בקטע.
הבנתי אותך, בסדר.
Yeah, so for rebates and launches, we're not currently doing a lot on ManyChat. We're using some services and people who have kind of groups. And for the reviews, you saw we're using basically a landing page and email system. Yeah. But
how you're contacting with the customers, the buying customers, the one that you ask for reviews? How do you contact them with them? In the past, it was so easy to use ManyChat. You had able to talk with them and to ask them a review on ManyChat. But lately, Facebook is shutting down all the Facebook pages that ask a review, that offer a rebate. They say some of my pages that I was doing rebates for review was shut down in the excuse that I'm a scammer. And nobody was complaining that I'm a scammer.
I would try this influencer method, as a maybe better way to drive some reviews. Like usually when we do like a lot of ranking campaigns, we're not very focused on the review side of it. We're more focused on the ranking, and we use inserts and other means to generate the reviews. But this influencer method is something that we know works. Actually, it was developed by somebody who works for me on my team, and he's done it very well for a different brand in the past. And it worked very well for them. And so now we're going to, implement it across our clients. So this is, maybe a better way to, to generate reviews by working with influencers.
תודה רבה לכל מי שהגיע, ותודה מיוחדת ללירן. נהנינו מאוד ולמדנו והחכמנו. זה יהיה גם בערוץ היוטיוב ובאתר שלנו, שיהיה אחלה ערב. מוזמנים גם לפנות ללירן בכל עניין פרטי כזה או אחר, ושיהיה המשך יום נעים, לירן.
המשך יום בניו יורק.